Welcome to the Books Between Friends podcast.
3 lifelong friends,
one shared obsession.
Books.
From epic fantasy to page-turning thrillers.
We dive into the stories we love
And the ones we just can't stop talking about.
So take a seat,
Grab a drink,
and get cozy. Hey, book friends. Welcome back. And speaking of cozy, what's making you guys feel cozy these days? So, in our last episode, I mentioned that I got a chair for my room and I've been turning my room into like a cozy reading corner. And I did some more, you guys. I added other things to it. So I had to kind of like move my bed around, and it was such a feat, y'all, because like it was nailed into the wall because it's such a heavy headboard. So we had to like figure out how to take it out and then like move it. And so we were able to move my bed over to kind of fit the chair in a more comfortable space. And then I bought lights for my room, and it looks like all twinkly and cozy, and I love it so much. And I even bought a brand new blanket for my chair because it needs its own blanket, you guys. So that's what I did. So of course, exactly, right? So these past few nights, that's all I've been doing. Like as soon as I wrap up whatever I'm doing here, I go straight to my room, go straight to my chair, and I just like relax and sit in it. I've been loving it so far.
That's so awesome.
I love it so much.
You sent us that picture yesterday, and I'm so jealous of the cozy vibes. It looks so good.
Right? I'm like obsessed with my room.
Cozy.
Like exactly. So
like,
I'm excited to share
spot.
it with everyone. So I can't wait to share this with y'all. So what about you guys?
So for me, let me think. Okay, so I've already talked, I think, several times on this podcast about how I'm just a homebody. Like I've always been a homebody. So like we don't really go out a lot. We just, most of the time when we have free time, we spend it at home watching TV or movies. Like that's all we do. But this weekend, actually just last night, we went out with some friends to a wine bar, and we shared a nice charcuterie board and some other like appetizers and stuff, and just like hung out and like talked with friends. I know it's like a simple little outing thing, but like it's just not something we do often.
Yeah.
And it reminded me that social activities are actually enjoyable.
When you do it with the right people.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It totally matters who you're with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just great to like get out of the house and like do something nice like that. So
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I love it. Just this time of year is just like, it makes me feel so happy just because it's this time of year.
Right.
Totally.
And so for me this weekend, I was at Nick's house and his parents are there, and we all just, first of all, Nick is a really good cook. Okay. And so he made this delicious pasta dish, of, it doesn't sound like it should be good, but it is wonderful. It is fettuccine with pumpkin Alfredo.
Okay.
And it is
I don't think I've ever had
delicious. It is so good.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was wonderful. But after that, we all sat down together and watched the movie Coco. Again,
I
it's
love
the perfect
that movie.
Sorry.
I know. I love that movie. It's the perfect time of year for it, obviously. And it was the first time I think his parents had seen it. And of course, we're all like crying at the end because of Mama Coco. And
oh my gosh.
my gosh. It was so great. It was just a good moment. And it is one of my favorite Disney movies. Like I have like a top 5 of different kinds of movies, and I have a top 5 for Disney specifically, and it's probably like a solid number 3.
Yeah.
So totally.
My brother and Christina, they limit screen time for my niece, and she's 2. They don't like sit her down in front of the TV or anything like that, and they just really want her to do more of like the Montessori type learning growing up, but they will make an exception for Coco.
Just Coco?
It's so great.
Well, Coco and a few others, but like for sure Coco. And it's like one of my brother's favorite movies. And my niece loves to do the little grito, like the...
Yeah. The grito.
So she gets to that part, she'll do it with him. And it's the cutest little freaking thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
But she'll sit and watch it, and she loves it. She loves all the colors, all the
Mhm.
movement, and they
It's
play it
so
for her in
colorful.
Spanish too. Like they'll play it
Yeah,
for her in
yeah.
Spanish so she can kind of like immerse in that. But yeah, I love that movie, and I cry every single time I watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. And yeah, the colors, and also I've always been really interested in like the culture around like the Day of the Dead and
Mm-hmm.
sugar
Mhm.
skulls and all that imagery. Like in fact, for Halloween, I like to decorate the house with like sugar skulls.
Oh, cool.
So it's just
I
like
love that.
imagery that I love, like all the bright colors. It's like a fun, whimsical take on like Halloween decor.
Yeah, that's something that we actually haven't grown up with. Like our parents didn't do the ofrenda, and we didn't do any of like the Day of the Dead type things. Like, so it's really
Hmm.
cool to see that because it's really
Yeah,
cool to understand where that comes from, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting fact. I don't know. A lot of people seem to not know this, but the voice of Mama Imelda is Alana Ubach. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But she's the brunette bestie of Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde.
Oh, okay, I had
Yeah.
Who?
no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah.
From
And she's
Legally
been on
Blonde.
a couple of other things too, but or a lot of other
Wow,
things.
okay.
But yeah, people just don't usually recognize her. So
Yeah, no,
she's
she doesn't sound like that at
Oh,
all
wait,
in
I
the girl
got
Legally
that
Blonde or
bangs.
anything else that she's in. Yeah. Yeah.
Can't you
the
just take a
girl
Percocet?
is it the girl that doesn't like her in the beginning?
No, no, no. So it's
No.
one of her besties from the fashion
Like,
college.
From the before she goes into law school.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
before
I know
she
who you're
goes
talking
into law
about.
school.
That's her.
That's her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
What?
Like
Yeah, she's
that
incredibly
voice does
talented.
not compute with that actor to me. That's so funny. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
that's so cool. Okay, so before we get into like our bewitching discussion, I told you guys I had one more story for y'all, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Do tell. Do tell.
Ooh.
Okay, so I've been sharing my like witch folklore with you guys, and I have one more story, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. So let's see. Okay.
Okay.
So the bewitching had a lot of talk on birds, right? And
Okay.
we come to now know that a lot of the birds was used around protection and talisman and like, protection
Hmm.
against evil.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like it probably depends on the kind of bird that you choose for that because there's a lot of talk on like using a dove and a hummingbird, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Well, there was one day something happened to us, and I think I've told y'all this story, but I'm going to tell everybody else there listening about this story. So I was a kid. I was home with my brother and my younger sister, and the three of us were home. And we have like a fireplace in our house, and sometimes we would forget to close the vent whenever we would have it open.
I think you've told me this story.
I have told y'all this
Go
story.
ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
And so one day we're all hanging out, and all of a sudden a bird flies into the house, and it's a crow, and it's just flying around the house, and we're
That's
freaking
crazy.
out. Like, we don't know what to do. We're kids. Like, I say kids, but like I'm 11 years older than Gabby. So if she remembers this, and I was probably not a kid.
You were in your youth.
Yeah. Yeah, let's say that.
So we like push the bird into the bathroom because like my parents aren't home, and so like we don't know what to do. So we lock it in the bathroom, and we can hear it flapping around in the bathroom. We can hear it freaking out because it's trying to get out. And so we're like, okay, we'll just leave it there until Dad gets home, and then Dad will take care of it, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as Dad gets home, I'm just like, we tell him, I'm like, hey, puppy, like there's a bird in the bathroom. We caught it for you. Can you please get rid of it? Like as soon as the door opens, there's nothing in there. There's no bird. There are no feathers. There is
That is
there's
so
nothing
crazy
to show that
Yeah.
there was ever a bird in there. And the only reason I know I didn't go crazy is because there was three of us who witnessed this. So the three of us
Yeah.
knew there was a bird in there. And the toilet was shut, so there was no way it could have gone in there. There was no open vents. The windows were not open. Like it was just completely gone. We
That's
were
crazy.
so freaked
That's so
out. We called the
creepy.
priest to come and bless the house after that. Because like
Yeah.
we saw that as a bad omen, right? And
Well,
so we were freaked
It's a
I would
crow.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like the
That
fact that it was a
disappeared.
crow specifically, like it's just. I mean, I know crows are kind of common, but they're not that common.
Right.
And then for it to fly into your home and then disappear is
Exactly.
so spooky.
And so
Ooh.
reading the Bewitching just kind of made me think of that because it talks about
Yeah.
like how the Teleokwani like turns other people into like creatures or birds. And so I'm
Mhm.
thinking like in my head, the same sense that I have for owls, where like they're scary to me because they're witches and disguise. Like, what if
Right.
that's what that was? And so, yeah, completely freaked me out, y'all. But it did
Spooky.
happen, real life story. So this is why I don't watch horror movies, also, because like I believe that this shit could happen. I'm just not
Yeah.
like that's not something I want to
Yeah.
explore, y'all.
Fair.
But
Totally
on
fair.
that note, we are so excited to start our final discussion, you guys, of The Bewitching by
Yay.
Silvia Moreno-Garcia. But before we get started, I'm going to pass it over to Steph for a quick spoiler warning.
All right, you guys. So, before we get started, just so you guys know, quick spoiler warning. If you are listening to this episode, we are assuming that you have finished The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Because this is our final discussion on this book, so we will be spilling all of the secrets. But before we start, we would like to give a quick shout out. Like, if you guys want to help us out, help us grow, and help other book friends find our podcast, please write a review for us on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us out. It's a quick, easy way to just give back. So, thank you. And if you
Yes, we
do
want
write
more
us a
book
review,
friends.
we would love to shout you out on an episode. So, please.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so before we get into our 3, 2, 1 discussion, because let me tell you, we have so much to talk about, you guys. And I think that we're all kind of on the same page about certain things, but some of us are maybe feeling different ways. So I can't wait to get into it.
Okay.
But before we do that, I want to summarize where we are on each time period. So in 1934, not much happens in this section of the book that we read. We only got one chapter out of it, and it pretty much closed out Ginny's story. So the day Ginny disappeared started off very quietly. Beatrice was preparing to leave for winter break, but before heading out, she gave Ginny a phone number where she could be reached. Later, Betty received a call from Ginny. She told her that she had discovered who had bewitched her, but that they had tied her tongue, making it impossible for her to reveal the name. Her voice was full of fear as she warned Betty to look inside bell, book, and candle if anything happened to her. And that was the last anyone ever heard from Ginny. So when Betty returned, Ginny was gone. The others dismissed her disappearance as another runaway story because back in California, she had tried to elope with another boy. So they all thought that this is what happened again. But Edgar refused to let it go. He was in a panic. He really wanted to know what happened. So he pushed for an investigation, but nothing ever came of it. Everybody just dismissed it as her eloping with Santiago. Whispers spread through Joy's house, rumors of local legends, the witch's thicket, and darker possibilities happened for a while. And maybe like for a while, fear filled the halls for everybody, but eventually life moved on. Beatrice graduated with honors and she kept in touch with Edgar. The two bonded over ghost stories and unanswered questions. Yet, no matter how many tales that they shared, the truth behind Ginny's disappearance remained buried. I feel so sad for Edgar and Betty. All right, you guys, before we get into the 1908 time period with Alba and her story, I do want to give a short trigger warning that some of these scenes that we're going to slightly touch on have talk on incest and abuse. And I just wanted to be sure you guys were aware in case you don't want to listen to this part. Feel free to skip ahead or feel free to stop listening altogether if that's how you're feeling. We just want you to protect yourself, and we just wanted to be sure that we put that warning out there before we touched on it. And trust us when we say we didn't like this either. But this is part of what happened in the 1908 time period. So, after killing the creature that turned out to be her brother Tadeo, Alba was heartbroken, but she was determined to uncover the truth behind the curse. She returns to Los Pinos to find Perpetua, who reveals the shocking truth. The witch, or in this case, the warlock that Alba's been hunting, is her own uncle Arturo. Perpetua explains that Arturo learned his magic from her and her late daughter Elena, who actually Arturo killed as well, but twisted it for evil. So he took all these lessons and he used them for evil. He targeted Tadeo, he targeted Valentin, and he targeted many others to gain power and wealth. That's what he wanted. That's what he's still after. She tells Alba of a way to possibly kill Arturo, that she needs to burn a painting of someone that you love and mix the ashes with salt and the crushed wing of a moth and place it in a cup filled with wine. Whisper to the wine, telling it to protect you, then drink it and let them drink from your poisoned blood. Then Perpetua tells Alba to test what she's saying and put a flower in front of Arturo's lips as he sleeps, and she will see that the flower will wilt. So Alba goes home and she does just that. She takes the flower, she puts it in front of his lips, and it immediately wilts, confirming everything Perpetua said. Arturo admits everything to Alba and tells her of his desire for her. He was able to get into her room past the talisman that she had because she was the one who actually called out for him when she did the rope spell. And she unknowingly invited him to her room because of her own desire for him, allowing him to enter her room whenever. So following Perpetua's instructions, Alba does the poison. She tricks Arturo into drinking her poisoned blood, but not before leaning into her own desire, and ends up with Arturo for a night. After Alba tricks Arturo into drinking more from her, the poison takes effect and she uses an axe and beheads him. Later, she learns that she's pregnant with a baby girl and she lets everyone think it was Valentin's bastard. She named the child Tadea after her brother, and one day when her daughter was older, Alba would tell her stories about witches and curses for her own protection. Whew. Okay. That was 1908, you guys. Very hard to get through, but we got through it, y'all. 98 was where everything kind of comes full circle. A lot of the story happens with Minerva. 1998, Minerva's search for answers finally comes full circle. Her meeting with Benjamin unlocks the missing piece of the mystery, including the blacklist, and he ends up revealing to her that Santiago vanished 5 days before Ginny, proving they never ran away together, and warns Minerva that Caroline and her family were the kind who use others for their own gain. But after leaving the apartment, Minerva feels the presence of something or someone following her. That night, a strange green light floods her house, the air trembles, and she hears scratching and pounding all around her home. Clutching her blood-marked talisman, she barely survives that attack. So now she's seeing the green mist, now she's being attacked in her home, or at least is trying to attack her. Determined to uncover the truth, Minerva visits Thomas Murphy's advisors, Professor Everett, and learns that Thomas was dabbling in witchcraft before he disappeared, using the same bell, book, and candle book that Ginny mentioned decades ago. Inside the book, Minerva finds Ginny's witch mark and a message, "Look beneath the floorboards." At the old Joyce House dorm, she follows the message and finds the name Wingrave hidden beneath the boards, confirming her worst fear that the witch is actually Caroline. So Caroline has been the witch all along. Confronted, Caroline lures Minerva to the abandoned factory and confesses everything. She and her father murdered Ginny and Santiago to harvest their magical blood and prolong their lives. She reveals that she needs Minerva's blood next to live long enough to train the next generation of warlocks in her home, claiming that Noah doesn't have the ability. So she wants to train his offspring. But Minerva thankfully is ready, and she poisons herself with the same mixture that Alba once used in 1908 and lets Caroline drink her blood. With the help of a spirit who is actually hanging out in the factory, Minerva beheads Caroline in the very place that she committed her crimes, in that factory. Later in the epilogue, Noah visits Minerva. His calm demeanor hides something more, possibly, and Minerva can't tell how much he knows, or if the witchcraft might live on in him. As he leaves, she summons the ghost of her cat, Karnstein, who is now her familiar.
Hey book friends, it's Ethan. When I think about cozy reading essentials, slippers are at the very top of the list. A while back, I got my first pair of Bombas gripper slippers, and honestly, I wasn't expecting them to feel all that different from the other brands that I'd tried. But here's the thing, these are next level. They keep my feet warm and toasty without ever looking frumpy, so I can curl up with a book feeling both cozy and stylish. Bombas just knows how to do comfort right. And the best part is that for every item you buy, they donate one to someone in need. Since we're affiliates with Bombas now, we've dropped our link right into our newsletter. So if you're ready to upgrade your cozy essentials, be sure to subscribe and check it out there. You can always find the link in our bios on all of our social media accounts. We are Books Between Friends Pod across all social media platforms. It's a small way to support the show while keeping your toes happy. Now, let's get back to the episode.
So, with that in mind, you guys, I know. Let's get into our 3, 2, 1. So I feel like I've kind of spoken a lot. I will let one of you guys go first.
Okay. I guess I can start off. So, my first of 3 things that stood out to me was first is the meeting with Benjamin and how much of a letdown that was. I know
100% agree.
we did learn that Santiago went missing 5 days before Ginny did. So, that puts a little wrench in the theory of them disappearing together. But I was just hoping for more from Benjamin, and I feel like we got a lot of nothing besides that. How did you guys feel about that meeting with Benjamin?
I was
mean,
pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't
Yeah.
feel any certain way about it. Like, that's how insignificant that was. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, it happened. They got the blacklist. Cool. Let's move on.
Yeah, I was
she did get
more
the blacklist, but there was nothing really there either.
No.
Yeah, I was more pissed in the sense that he was like a prediction for me in our last episode that it was going to be
Right.
like this meeting needed to take place because she was going to find out some huge piece of information. And that's I feel like we were led to believe that. I don't know,
Yes.
Right.
but it was just incredibly disappointing, which unfortunately for me kind of followed a trend in this last section. So, yeah, I think this was just kind of like the first reveal of myth that
I
were
think
Yeah.
that
lackluster.
the story could have been fine without Benjamin Hoffman.
Yeah,
Truly.
totally.
Yeah.
Like that
She
I
could
feel
have
like that's
found out
true about a
that
lot of this.
Yeah. She could have found out the tidbit about Santiago without having met him,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yep.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And then my second thing was her meeting with Professor Everett. This is where she found out that Thomas had that book that Ginny mentioned to Betty in Betty's manuscript, right? Revelation felt more like a reveal to me because that's where she would find the information ultimately, the note that said, look under the
Yep.
floorboards.
Right.
And then under the floorboard, she found the note that had the Wingrave's name on it. And she had told Betty, I found out who had bewitched me,
Yep.
but they tied my tongue, just like Arturo did to Alba when
Yep.
she was trying to tell her mom.
Yep.
So they probably did that to her. And this was her way of telling somebody. So I appreciated that reveal with this meeting with Professor Everett. But again, it wasn't like that big of a reveal because I think, all knew the Wingraves were to blame for all of this.
So
Yeah, I was just
sorry,
going to say the meeting with Benjamin and her meeting with Everett, that really could have been one character.
I was just going to say that.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that should have been combined.
We could have done
written
without
in such a
Professor
way.
Everett. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly.
And she could have discovered the book at Benjamin's apartment. Like that could have been the big
That would have
reveal
been
from
great.
Benjamin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is why she needed to go see Benjamin to find this book. Like Professor Everett didn't have to be a thing whatsoever.
Right.
Nope, not at
right.
all.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then my third thing was just the overall letdown of the reveals in this section, which we've all kind of touched on a little bit. I was hoping for some kind of a twist. Like we all kind of called it from the beginning. We all suspected Arturo and we all suspected the Wingraves.
They were
So-
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, and I even if that was the case, we have a handful of side characters that could have been involved somehow that I wish had been involved just because I was looking for something like that. I was suspecting Conrad. I started to suspect Hideo after our last episode, but nothing came of it. And so I was just disappointed. How did you guys feel about that?
So I didn't feel as let down as you guys are talking about. Did I think it was super predictable? Absolutely, because we've been talking about it for the past 3 episodes where we picked up all the clues and pieces of what led, our thinking towards Arturo, what we were thinking about Caroline. So to me, it was more of like, okay, I got the answer I was looking for. I knew it was them. That's how I felt. It didn't feel
Just
like
like
a letdown.
confirmation.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I knew that was coming and it came. So
Yeah.
I wasn't like, do I think there could have been a bigger twist? Absolutely. I 100% think there could have been a bigger, spookier twist to this. And I think that's what
Yeah.
she tried to do with the Noah thing. to me, it didn't feel disappointing. I'm like, cool. It
Okay.
came full circle for me. This is exactly who we suspected. And this is exactly who it was. Although I do kind of, I do understand what you're talking about with the Conrad thing, because in the end where Alba goes to that party again,
Mhm.
Conrad is like staring at her and he's like watching her
Yeah.
throughout the whole party. So I thought there was going to be something more there. And when then that became
Totally.
like, when that just kind of fell off, I'm like, then what
Something.
the fuck was the point of that?
Yeah. Even up till the end where they were at that party and she's having her headache and she's stumbling around, something was going on with her. Like, you know, obviously there was some kind of spell on her at that point. And Conrad just again kept showing up like twice
Yeah.
at that party and chuckled
Watching
at
her.
her
Yeah.
and watching her. So yeah, that was just like, what was the point of that? Just to, I don't know, divert our attention to someone else that had nothing to do with anything?
Yeah.
That
Right.
sucks.
Like, so there's a difference between a red herring and an unfinished plot
Mm.
point. Like, I feel like a lot of these
Right.
characters are just thrown away because they're unfinished plot points rather than fully
Mhm.
fleshed out red herring type characters to throw you off the scent.
Yeah.
Because I think Conrad is a perfect example of that. And even Noah to some extent is an example
Yeah.
of that. Like, I don't want it to sound like I didn't enjoy this book, because obviously I did. Like, it's it's cultural.
Mhm.
It talks about witchcraft in a way that we often don't, because when we think of witchcraft, we often get like Salem witch trials. We
Right.
never, or
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus, we never get
Mhm.
Mexican
Right.
culture. And so I
Yeah.
thought that was incredibly interesting for that reason. So it's not that I didn't enjoy this book, but this section was a little lackluster for
I
me.
was gonna say, but we're talking about
True.
this section that we just
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So my three things, I was like, there's a lot of world building, quote unquote, right here in this last section. And I don't really appreciate that
True.
when it's in the last bit of the book, to where you don't really
Mhm.
have time to digest it and get used to it, because all of a sudden we have
Mhm.
ghosts. Ghosts have not been a
True.
part
Yeah.
of this story at all until we get two ghosts. We get the ghost of Jenny and we get the ghost of, we think, Santiago,
I think that's who it
because
was.
that's
Yeah.
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 it's just never confirmed though. Like, she's more definitive about
Right.
Jenny's ghost because it's in
Right.
Joy's house. But
Right. In their
Santiago, we're
dorm.
just
Yeah.
assuming, So that was a little weird for me. And then just kind of random reveals that I kind of lumped in with the world building here at the end. We have Thomas's
Mhm.
backstory fully explained, and Thomas was just like a victim of, like, he didn't know what he didn't know. Like, he didn't know that he really was in tune with like the more spiritual side of things.
Right.
And Carolyn
Right.
exploited it.
Mhm.
And then we have Minerva's newfound witchiness, and she seems to come into confidence in herself with
Okay.
her
I have
with
something
her
to say
witch
about that
powers.
later.
And I'm just like, what? Just all of a sudden, she's
Girl.
the charmed one, and
And
Sorry,
she's got a
she,
familiar.
I love
yeah,
that
she just
show.
owns it. She's like, I'm Sabrina, come at me.
Right?
And so there was
Sorry.
a lot in this section for us to be handed to us and expected us to be okay with it. I don't know what y'all thought of
Mhm.
that.
Okay, so I have a
That's
thought, and it was one of my thoughts. It was one of my points, so I'm just gonna go ahead and bring it up.
Okay.
So
okay.
obviously, we talked about in the last 3 episodes, we try to make connections between all 3 time periods, right? And we're like, why
Mhm.
are they being targeted? And so we knew Alba and Minerva had abilities, but we didn't really know too much on. We kind of knew Jenny had abilities, but not really.
Right.
It was just talked about.
Right.
And so now we know Thomas had abilities, and that's why they were all
Mhm.
targeted, right? So
Targeted.
that connection was my main point.
Yeah.
But here's my thought on this. I just want to point out, what did they even use their ability for? Like, if they didn't even use it to figure out who was after them, then why even have an ability? Because Alba didn't
What's the
use her
point?
ability to find that it was Arturo. She was even denying it all the way till the very end.
Right.
And Minerva didn't use her abilities to find out it was Caroline. She literally had to figure that out through Ginny. So what was the point of all of them having these abilities when it didn't even save them in the end?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a
okay,
great point.
absolutely. So this extra ability that they all 3 somehow have was useless in the end, like you said. And also, I hate to break it to y'all, but none of us have an ability and saw it right from the jump. So what's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah.
Minerva, you allegedly are very intelligent.
I know, grad student, are you?
And I'm
Well-
questioning that now.
Well, and the fact too, like, they really made a big deal about her
Yeah.
headaches.
And for what?
For what, right? At the very end, she figured out, oh, these headaches mean that I'm getting important. Okay.
I almost want
So
to
what are
be
you
like,
using the
it's,
importance for?
super.
Yeah.
it's almost like the ability in Mean Girls where she's like, I can sense when it's already raining.
There's a 60% chance it's already raining.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what
what it
Alba-
feels like.
Yes, because Alba
That
got
is
those
exactly
visions
what it feels like.
after
Yeah,
everything
she's-
already happened.
Right. She like keeps getting her headaches and she's like, oh, it's important. But like at the same time, there's the green light outside. There's like the weird mark on her door. There's the path that she's trying to take that she knows like the back of her hand keeps changing up on her.
Yeah.
We don't need your little ability to tell you
That
that
you're
something's
bewitched.
That you're being
up.
bewitched.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, to your point, what is the point of that ability?
So I will say that part for me was a letdown. The fact that you
Yeah.
played up all these abilities, and for what? Jenny could communicate with her mom, and yet she still couldn't save herself.
Right.
Thomas was trying to communicate with Jenny, and yet she still couldn't save him.
Mm-hmm.
What was
Thomas
his
never stood a chance anyway because
Yeah,
Carolyn was
yeah.
feeding him all of that to learn that he
well,
could do
I know,
that.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
but
And
I
to tap
totally get
into
what you're
it,
saying.
probably. Yeah,
But that was my point,
Ugh.
and that was just kind of going off of what you said about the newfound witchiness. Okay, what is it
Mhm.
really used for?
what?
Especially
That should be the title of this episode, Newfound Witchiness.
well, and especially
like
because
that.
like really you're protected within a room, like with your witch marks.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can never leave your room. And then the talisman, she
much.
lost one of
Right.
them when she
Pretty
got attacked.
easily.
So they can
Yeah.
still attack you even with the
Mhm.
talisman. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay.
But don't worry, she's got a headache that lets her know she's being attacked.
Yeah, a detriment to her allows her to suspect that someone
Yeah.
is near that wishes her harm.
I think a better
Right, right,
storyline
right.
would have been that like Alba would have seen the vision of Arturo doing this, or like
Right.
Minerva would have used those portents to pinpoint that it was Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
It was stronger when she was around Caroline, and that's how she figured it out, or something
Yeah.
like that. Like that.
So
that would
many
have
ways
been
this could
better.
have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many different ways that this could have been better. Like, even if the 1908 timeline had been revealed that it was Minerva remembering it the whole time, that would have been more
Okay.
interesting
Very
than just
cool.
having
Yeah.
3 different timelines that don't really amount to much because I'm gonna like timelines is my third thing, but
Yeah.
Okay.
my second point is just kind of going off of what Steph has already said, like all these useless side characters, because I was like, so Benjamin ... was useless? Like
yeah.
Nothing.
they
Yeah.
serve no purpose. Even
Right.
I'm like, they were okay additions, but ultimately not necessary. If they don't
Right.
contribute to the plot, even in the form of a red
Mhm.
herring, then just get rid of them. They're not necessary.
Right.
Right.
Like we've already said with Everett. So yeah, that was my big thing. And then the 1908 timeline, while it is interesting to read about, it is not necessary because the only connection that we have there is the fact that Alba and Minerva are related. Plus, that is the only way we find out how to defeat a witch,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to make it
True.
seem like it's not just random that Minerva is able to defeat a witch. That's the only
Right.
connection. That's the only reason it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
See,
like, I just...
I thought that about the 1934 timeline. I felt like that timeline
Mm.
really it didn't really contribute as much because it was literally a timeline talking about how this one poor girl went mad because somebody was bewitching her. Like, there was really
Yeah.
nothing else that came from that, considering that those poor characters didn't even get the answers that
Closure.
they were seeking. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's how I felt about the 1934 timeline. I liked the
Yeah,
1908 timeline.
I agree with
No, I liked
Ethan
it.
on that. Like, it wasn't necessary, and mostly I wish that Minerva had brought it up more
Right.
in her investigation in the 1998 timeline, because clearly Nana Alba told her a lot of this stuff. We're reading through it like it's like she maybe barely has any knowledge of it or doesn't really know exactly everything that happened. But at the end of the day, she used the exact same spell to defeat Carolyn that
Carolyn.
Alba used on Arturo. So, and she would have had to memorize that spell.
Yeah.
So clearly Alba had, taught her a lot more witchcraft. Like I refuse to believe that's the only spell she ever taught her, because she also created her own talismans also to try to
Yeah.
protect herself. So I wish it had been woven into Minerva's
timeline
a little more.
Yeah.
Or she had brought it up more and talked
Yeah.
about it or used some of the knowledge that she had from Alba.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I saw the minute she got attacked or whatever after she saw the green mist, she immediately went to go buy a bottle of wine. She knew because it said, she went to go buy the 6-pack for Hideo, and then she bought the bottle of wine and then put it away. And I was like,
Yeah.
she knows exactly what she's doing whenever I saw that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think you're right. Honestly, it could have just been one timeline. It could have been Minerva's story, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It
She
should
could
have
have
been
talked about her
Mhm.
dissertation and Jenny's disappearance through her work, and then she could have talked about what was happening to her and remembered everything that her Nana Alba taught her. Like, that could have just
I
all been
wish-
one
Yeah.
timeline.
Like,
One timeline.
you know what would have been
Yeah.
so interesting? Tell me what you'll think of this. Is that the storyline is from Minerva's perspective, the whole thing. And she, in her research, while she's researching, someone is like Carolyn would have been triggered like, oh, I need her to stop researching because she's going to find out some stuff and I don't need her to. And so I'm going to bewitch her. As soon as she started bewitching her, that's when her portents unlocked. And that's when she starts doing some actual research plus some witchy research in her brain. And that's when memories from her grandmother unlock. And if she touches certain things in Joy's house, that's when other memories unlock. That would have been so much more interesting.
Yeah.
But to have timelines that aren't really connected to each other.
While you were talking about that, I was thinking like another cool perspective would have been maybe a Carolyn perspective, but where we don't know it's Carolyn, but she's realizing
love
that
that.
Minerva's onto her trail,
That's really cool.
That would have
yeah.
been cool.
Yeah, that
And
would've been
again,
really
it could have been
spooky.
one
Love that.
timeline.
Yeah.
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 So anyway.
Okay, so we pretty much talked about my 3 things. My first one was just about the big reveal of who the Telioquani are, and we kind of called it, like we said, it was Arturo and Caroline. And, Caroline revealed that the Wingraves all have it, and that, like only one of her sons had it, but he refused to act on it. And so we also kind of find out that they're all witches, and it's like, it's how you decide to use your magic. So like Minerva and Caroline are pretty much the same. It's just that one chooses it to use it for evil and the other one chooses it for good.
Yeah.
So like I told you guys, like that didn't disappoint me. Like that to me was just like it answered the questions I needed answered. The sick twist that, we had talked about, and I'm not going to touch too much on it. I just want to say how disgusted I was with Alba and Arturo. Why was it even in there? How did that serve the story? What purpose did that have? That should have never been in there. Like, she could have tricked Arturo into drinking her blood any other way. She didn't have to do what she did.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I also agree. One thing, I never want to say that, like, we can't bring certain experiences into stories, but I think you have to be very careful about the way you do it and do it in a way, like you said, where it's actually useful to the storyline. And the way this was done, I don't think it was, and it wasn't necessary,
Right.
like you said. And yeah, it's just like, what are we doing this for?
Right. Why are we
For the
talking
cringe
about
factor?
her
I
desire
don't
for
think
him
that's
too? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what made her blind to the fact that he was the warlock all along.
Yeah.
Was her
And, like,
desire for him.
I would even say, like, maybe she could have admitted to herself, like, oh yeah, I kind of like fed into it a little bit, or maybe I like fantasized about it a little bit. But like to go all the way, again, was not necessary to the
Yeah.
storyline.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that was
twice.
twice.
Ugh.
Like not just once,
Yeah.
twice. Anyways, okay, so that was
Yeah.
my thing. The second one we already talked about, and that was like the pointlessness of the abilities. And the other one, I mean, we talked about that already.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
The other thing, I just, and it's really not a big point, but I wanted to put it out there. I felt really sad for Edgar and Betty. I
Yeah.
felt really sad for
Totally.
Edgar. He ended up with this bitch of a person, and
Mhm.
poor guy drank himself to death without any answers for the
Mhm.
person he actually fell in love with. And Betty too,
Right.
like, Ginny was Betty's love too,
Same.
and best friend. Like, I could not imagine going through life not knowing if something had happened to y'all, not knowing what happened to y'all.
Mhm.
I
Oh
would
my
have gone
God, like
crazy trying to figure it
same.
out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And the fact that
So,
nobody else acknowledged or even cared for,
Questioned.
right, yeah.
trying to find the truth they were the only two that kept on trying to find the truth. And it is sad to see that they never got that closure.
And what's crazy too is that in the 1934 time period, Betty mentioned that it wasn't even that taboo to talk about witchcraft. People dabbled in it.
Right.
It was something people knew
It was a
about. So,
fascination.
yeah, so it wasn't
Mhm.
even something that was out of question, It could have been a
Right.
possibility that just nobody wanted to explore. So I was just really, really sad for them. I hated that that's how that story ended. I hated how
Mhm.
1934 ended just because I was so sad that there was no closure there.
Yeah.
But I did kind of like that Ginny is what helps close out Minerva's story. Her warning is what helped Minerva figure out what happened. I thought that was a cool way to close that, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those
Yeah, like
were
I agree on the whole point of, it was cool that Minerva finally got the clue,
yeah.
but super disappointed in Betty for not following that lead,
Yeah. Like I
And I'll
would have
talk about that
questioned the
later
book. I
too.
would be like, let me figure out what this
Hello?
book
Yeah.
is. Yeah. She mentioned it, and then I'm just not even going to look into it.
Not even look into it. Yeah.
Right, with
Crazy.
as obsessive as Betty was about
Mhm.
Ginny,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really make sense to her character
Right.
as to why she wouldn't
Mhm.
have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you
Crazy.
guys. So that was our 3 things that stood out to us. So let's get into our 2 character moments that left an impact on us. I will get us started on this one. Perpetua. Let's talk about this girl.
Mm.
Because, like, in the beginning, like, I knew there was something with her. I just didn't know how significant, I guess, like, she would be, or really was actually not that significant. But you're
Yeah.
telling me that this bitch knew the entire time who was behind all of this? Are you kidding me? Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? And she didn't say anything? I get that she revealed that she tried to warn Tadeo and told him, you need to get rid of your uncle. But
Yeah.
didn't really tell him why, and then didn't really follow up with anybody else, especially Alba. If she knew that he was going after the farm and going after Alba herself, why did you not tell her? I'm just really upset that she knew and could have saved Tadeo and Valentin both from this shit. I was just like, the fuck? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that also made me question too, Jovita. If Perpetua knew, why didn't Jovita know?
I'm pretty sure she may have. The only thing that I can say to this point is that Jovita was saying that she was like, I don't want to get caught into this because if I help
Yeah.
you, the witch is going to know that I'm helping you. So I'm
Come
trying
after
to wash
me.
my hands of it. And so that's the only thing that maybe Perpetua was thinking the same thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's still like come on, let's put
Yeah.
others before self in this case.
Right.
Right.
You could have saved so many lives had you just spoken up. The minute you try to warn Tadeo, that should have been like a dual warning with Tadeo and Alba.
Yeah.
That should have been.
I don't disagree with you that I wish Perpetua had come to Alba also, but I also don't want to let Alba go on this one because she suspected Perpetua since she saw her with Tadeo. And then again, when she and Valentin went to Jovita's, they encountered her
That's
and
true.
she suspected
Yep.
her even more after that. And then it took all this time for her to finally go seek her out and get the answers that she needed.
Very true. Yeah.
She knew way before that Perpetua knew something or was up to something.
But Valentin wouldn't let her. Remember, he was like,
Yeah,
"You
that's true.
don't face her alone." He said, "You don't face like even if because you know obviously at the time Alba thought Perpetua was the one doing the cursing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Valentin was like, "Don't talk to her. Don't go and talk to her yourself."
I
So
wonder why. In that case, like,
yeah,
That makes me
no,
think that she very well could have been like, right. It goes back to how you use magic. And that makes me think that Valentine thought that she probably dabbled in more of the dark arts rather than using it for beneficial purposes.
well,
yeah,
Arturo got all of his spells from her. Like
right.
he
And
bought
he
all of
chose
those
to
spells
Right.
from
use it
her.
for.
Yeah. So that was my one character, like, I'm like, what the fuck kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other one I'm really upset about too is Noah. So I have been defending this dude for the past 2 episodes, thinking that he has really been out there helping
Yeah.
Minerva, but the way it ended, it did not make it seem like he was innocent at all. What
Right.
a freaking question mark, you guys. Even after everything that happened, it isn't quite clear. It's just not quite clear if he knows about Caroline or what he's thinking about it, right? I mean, she made it clear that he wasn't interested and that he was stunted, you know, or whatever, and that she couldn't groom him in the way that she wanted to. So that leads you to believe that he knew about it, but he declined it and didn't want to be a part of it. So it's like, if he knew about it, then why are you not helping Minerva out? Was it because his tongue was tied as well, just like what happened with Alba and Ginny? I still think that he drinks a lot for a reason, because Caroline even mentioned that the son who did have the ability, he just drank himself to death pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what Noah's doing. He's trying to block this ability by drinking as much as he does. But then I go back to what he said to Minerva at the very end in the epilogue, where he goes something about being friends, or are we still going to stay friends when I go to Boston? And she goes, "Are we friends?" And he goes, "Well, we're not enemies yet." I'm like, what the fuck? What does that
Like, what is
mean?
it?
Yeah, does that mean that eventually he's going to come back for her? I don't. Anyways, what did y'all
Yeah.
think?
I almost got the sense, like, in my head, Carolyn kept saying throughout the book to Minerva that Noah, something about him just wasn't that great, always kept
It's a
disparaging him
disappointment.
and his
Yeah.
ability. Yeah, very disappointed in him. And so maybe it wasn't just his academics, it was his ability to perform witchcraft that was
Right.
also lacking in her eyes. And so, you mentioned maybe if she tried to, teach him, for whatever reason, his ability wasn't up to par,
Right.
so she was disappointed in him. So yeah, I think he knows, and I think he has been taught witchcraft, and that's why Minerva didn't let him into her place. And that epilogue scene
Yeah.
where he was like trying to,
Come
hang out with
in.
her and like
Yeah.
come into her house, and she wouldn't let him because she knows there's no way you don't know. And
Right.
yeah, maybe his tongue was tied, but yeah, I don't see him as being innocent at all. And even if he is trying to drink to suppress his abilities or whatever, I don't think he totally has put that aside,
He could have done more to help, I think.
Maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe he didn't want to. I don't know that he wanted to.
Yeah, that's more of what I'm thinking. Like, if magic truly is about how you use it and your intentions, right? Then I think he's the perfect example of just middle ground. He's
Yeah.
indifferent. And so he's going to maintain that indifference as much as he can. And it just happens to present as this affluent kid, poor little rich kid, right? Kind of demeanor. And so I think Carolyn probably she tried to test it out when he was a kid, and maybe that's how he knows about witchcraft, but I don't think I don't think he knows much outside of that. I think he knows that Carolyn was not a good person and that she had some
Yeah.
underhanded dealings, but I don't think he probably knew exactly how far it went, just because Carolyn didn't see reason to give him the time of day. That's how she talked
Right.
about him.
Right.
And it could be that maybe he resented Minerva because of how much Caroline really was interested in her.
Yeah, and maybe even felt that way about all, Thomas and whoever else came before that she
Mhm.
saw something in. And maybe he
Mhm.
didn't realize that it was their witchcrafting abilities, but, one way or another, for whatever reason, they seem to have something that he didn't have that Carolyn
Right.
saw in them,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, those were my two people. What about you guys?
So the first character moment for me is going to be Alba. I am glad that she finally figured it out. She finally went and confronted Perpetua. She thought that she was the one bewitching her at first,
Right.
but then she got from her the answer that, in my opinion, was staring her right in the face from the beginning, that it was Arturo. And she also pressed her to give her the answer on how to finally defeat him,
Mhm.
because Perpetua just basically said, you're a lost cause at this point. There's no way you can defeat him.
Yeah.
It's over. Leave me out of it, please. But then she pressed her until she finally told her about that spell with the
Yeah.
wine and the moth, and she used that to finally kill him. Kudos to Alba for finally getting there, but homegirl, I needed you to get there way sooner.
Yeah.
I know
It
that
took
took a
way too
long
long.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So, and
again, she
also,
was just
like,
blinded.
I I want to say, okay, small town stuff gets around, Perpetua
Yes.
mentioned that Arturo and her daughter had been involved. And I
Mhm.
know in a small town like this, people would have been talking about that. And then
Yeah.
when she disappeared, that would have gotten around too. So how did Alba not pick up on that? And the lover that she was teasing him about, oh, I bet her name is blah, blah, blah. I bet it's blah, blah, blah. Was it the same name as Perpetua's daughter?
Elena. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then I'm like, come on. Why did she not put two and two together at least then,
Yeah, how did she not know about that? Like you said, everybody knows everything. I mean, everybody knew about all the
Right.
deaths that were happening on her farm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. They kept talking about how it was getting around, and like people were saying that the land was cursed. So this stuff didn't come out? Come on.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
No, something was bugging me that whole entire last section, and I was like, what is it? But this is it. I was like, this is such a
Mhm.
small town.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about things like we should be talking about
Right.
them? Like, that's what gossip is for. Come on.
Exactly.
Why didn't we suspect Arturo from the beginning, knowing that he was
Mhm.
involved in another disappearance, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it all goes back to, I think it all just ties back to the way Alba has been blinded by this man, like just so
Yeah.
enamored with the idea of him, whether he's an uncle or not. She was just enamored by his charm and what he represented, especially coming from, as like a farm girl. And so she probably did hear about it and it probably was talked about. And she just either didn't listen in on the gossip or she was just so
Yeah.
involved in her own
Too
head
naive.
that she just dismissed
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Possibly. And I guess, like, let me not forget that she was like teen at this point in
Right.
time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
naive, young, probably didn't want to believe Arturo would do such a thing.
Right.
Okay. My second character moment is Minerva. Okay. So I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the 1998 storyline and whether or not the other storylines were even necessary for this book. I just feel like Minerva obviously had learned more from her Nana Alba,
Yeah.
because once she knew for sure who was bewitching her, like you mentioned, Jen, she immediately bought that wine and knew the spell that it would take to defeat them. So again, I just want to mention that, like, I wish that more of her witchcraft, or like information that she had learned from Nana Alba, had played into her storyline and her, I guess, try to figure out who it was that was bewitching her. And
Yeah.
I feel like, again, just like what I mentioned with Alba, it seems so obvious to all of us, I feel like, who it was.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that she took so long to come to that conclusion. She didn't have to meet with Benjamin, in my opinion, to realize who it was, or with Professor Everett, or even find that note in the floorboard at Joy's house that it was the Wingraves. Like, it was clear to me who it was.
Yeah,
Oh,
just the mention of once she found out Thomas was also involved in the Wingraves, that's
That
enough
should
right
have
come
there to
on.
been.
me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That should have been it. And she already knew how to defeat them, clearly. And I feel like Nana Alba was also probably the one who told her how to create the talisman with the bird. So what else had she taught her? Why didn't we bring some more of that in, you know?
Yeah, because she immediately went and grabbed one of the stuffed birds and started pinning the thing as soon as all that started happening. She immediately went to grab the wine. So she knew everything. Even at the end of the 1908 timeline, it said that Alba was going to make sure that her family line knew all the secrets of witchcraft. So, of course, it was brought down. But you're right that Minerva and her timeline, she made it such a big secret. She just kept all this hidden. She didn't really talk about her grandmother as much.
It's almost as if she was ashamed of it.
Right.
Exactly. That's kind of how I was feeling with it, because I kept wondering as I was reading through her timeline, does she not know the extent of it? Did Nana Alba not tell her how she finally defeated them? And then come to the end where she knew exactly the spell she needed to defeat the witch.
Everything.
And so if she had just mentioned, oh, I'm going to make this talisman exactly how Nana Alma taught me this, this is for this.
Yeah.
Or something, maybe the witch marks was something that Nana Alba could have taught her.
Yeah.
And she warded her house. It seemed like she warded the whole house. At one point, she had etched some witch marks in the floorboards and around the windows and the doors in the house. Like, why didn't she mention if that was, something that her Nana Alba taught her?
Well, I think the witch marks were new. I don't think Alba used those. I think the witch marks she actually did learn from Ginny and her story, her timeline. So I think she got that from her, and then everything else, like the talisman and everything, she got from her grandmother or her great grandmother. So
yeah, but all that to say, just like I wish she had almost to pay with some respect for who she learned this from and who ultimately helped to save her. It just seemed like she didn't really acknowledge that.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So my two. First, Valentine, I need to issue a formal apology.
My boy.
Although honestly, I would have liked his character a lot more had he actually been the villain.
No.
I thought that would have been way more interesting than Arturo. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
We all clocked that at the first chapter.
Right.
Or the first
or at
chapter
least
of 1908
a minion or something.
Yeah, something. Give me something other than just the pining guy after this girl that he's, loved his whole life.
I love a good pine, though.
Well, yes, so do I, but I don't
That's
like that pine to end in bloodshed.
Well, of course not.
Yeah.
At least not for a purpose. This was not purposeful to me.
Yeah.
So,
I
don't
mean,
know. I wish his whole story had been different.
but the Valentine thing, I feel like it signaled just how much. I guess it just signaled this is what happens when you get in the way. And that's exactly what Jovita was trying to avoid. She was like, I don't want to get involved. And Valentine got super involved and was helping her try to get rid of him. And that's ultimately what happened to him, unfortunately. I don't know. I like Valentine. I like his storyline.
Yeah, I guess I liked him as a character, but I will say, to your point, Ethan, we just talked about how we don't know why she discouraged Alba from talking to Perpetua.
That's what I don't understand.
Maybe if he had shared more about why with her.
Yeah.
We just could have gotten more from this character. Bill.
Yeah, I feel like this book is full of missed opportunities or what could have been, right? And I don't, if that was the author's goal here, then job well done. But it left me a little disappointed. So Valentine was my first one. And then obviously, I think all three of us have talked about Minerva. Well, no, maybe not Jen, but we've talked about Minerva throughout. So it comes from a point of I would love to know more of her story outside of this. We've set up all of this, all of his story just to be oh, hey, there's my dead cat that I can see and you can't. That's it.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Karnstein.
Cool
I love that addition.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been cool if she had acknowledged Karnstein as her familiar earlier. You know, and maybe the term isn't familiar from what she learned from Nana Alba, but again, I just wish she had brought up the fact that she was taught this by her Nana Alba, and it wasn't just stories that her Nana Alba told her. It was actual witchcraft that she taught her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all witches. Like, and that's what I said earlier.
Right.
Like, they're
Yeah.
all witches. Like, Caroline and Minerva are the same. They're just
Right.
using it in different ways.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And they did
It's
mention
just-
through, like, or she mentioned in her research that there seemed to be a connection in different cultures where similar things and similar concepts having to do with the supernatural and witchcraft, but
Mhm.
they were just called something different, or
Right.
they were used a little bit differently, but there was this common thread throughout. Again, that could have been a great tie-in.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think with Minerva, what else I will say is because she's the main point in the 1998 timeline, I just wish like there had been more connections, like concrete connections
Mhm.
between the timelines rather than
Yeah.
just, oh, we need this to make sense of what Minerva's doing in this timeline, right? Like,
Right.
I wish someone from the 1908 timeline would have appeared as a villainous type of character in the 1934 or 1998 timeline, you know? So there's just a lot of,
But isn't that what Caroline
what
is?
could have been, huh?
No, but he
Isn't-
means like a connection from 98 to 34 to 9.
Oh, through all three.
Yeah,
Or
through
just
all
more
three.
like Carolyn being the only one, I
Something.
think is a little weak, you know?
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it's,
Yeah.
it's so, I don't know. I just wish there had been a little bit more. And I'll talk more about that when we give our reviews, but
Okay. All right, you guys.
Cool.
So, with this being our final episode on The Bewitching, instead of doing our one theory or prediction, we are going to give our final review. So, this was really interesting because I feel like this book really started off strong for us, and then the last section just kind of had. Well, we're each gonna explain. I do want to make a quick connection, though, that this is what happened with Beach Read. Where I feel like Beach Read had a very strong start with the cute rom-com scenes, like the cuteness between January and Gus, and then it goes shoop. So, okay. So for me, I gave it 4 stars. Now, I was telling Stephanie earlier that I've noticed with the way that I've been rating my books, I don't think I've given a book anything below a 3. So really, I'm giving it I give a book anywhere between a 3 and a 5. So it's like you're going to be okay, you're going to be good, or you're going to be great. And to get a 5 stars, that means that I want to read you again. I want to immerse myself in that story again. And this one just didn't do it for me for that purpose. Like I don't want to read this book again. Like I'm good. I read it. I'm glad I did. Because I still had a lot of fun discussing all of the witch folklore that I grew up with. And
totally.
even though these things gave me nightmares, it was still really fun to discuss with like my best friends, especially now like that we're in the middle of spooky season. So for me, that's kind of why it gave it a higher rating, like a 4 stars, because I still enjoyed it. I still think it had a really like strong beginning. I actually did like the 3 different time periods. I know that like as we were talking during this section, like we talked about it being possibly 1, but I still liked the 3 time periods like as we were reading the story. I thought that it was pretty cool, like seeing a perspectives from different people. I like seeing the connection in all 3 of them. And to me, the storyline really kept me on my toes. It became very predictable, which is not always a terrible thing, but it still was predictable. And a good twist never hurt anybody, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Just saying. Just give me one. I do like that we got the full story in the end. So I do like that it closed out for me. Unlike Blood over Brighthaven. So I guess maybe that's why like I thought that was a good thing. Except for the Noah thing, which we already complained about. But I seriously could have done without the Alba and Arturo piece. Like that whole thing should have just been cut from the beginning. Like that was really hard to get through. So something like that is never, ever going to be okay for me. And that part of the story ruined it for me. Like that's kind of what ruined that last star for me. But now that I'm done with this book, I can do a spiritual cleanse at my house and get back to my normal sleeping schedule.
Get the sage out. Get the sage out.
So
Fair.
Yeah. All right. What about you guys?
So it's going to be 3 stars for me. And yeah, Jen, when we were talking about this, I was realizing pretty much the same thing. If a book is not feeling 3 stars or more, I'm probably
Mhm.
going to DNF it.
Yeah.
But this one, just like you, yes, I enjoyed the beginning. Actually, the majority of this book I enjoyed. The spooky, witchy vibes are exactly what I was wanting to get from this book, and it did deliver on that. However, I was just, again, we've already mentioned it throughout this episode. I was disappointed in the ending and how super predictable it was, and how we just wanted a little bit more, like, again, a little twist, like Jen said,
Yeah.
never hurt anyone. And I just really feel like there were so many missed opportunities with our side characters, like Conrad, Hideo, Benjamin, even Professor Everett were, just kind of like throwaways in the end. But I feel like we could have gotten more from them. Even Valentin, now that I'm thinking about it. And like the 1934 timeline, the way it ended so abruptly, I get why that was, because Betty never got closure. She never got the answers. But like, I felt like there was really nothing to show for that timeline other than just to like, point out the similarities and the patterns of what Minerva was experiencing in the 98 timeline. So I guess you could give it that. But really for me, that was the most useless, to put it bluntly, storyline.
Yeah.
And I personally enjoyed the 1908 storyline the most. For similar reasons as Jen, like that's where we got the folklore. I wish we had gotten more of it. I wish Minerva had acknowledged it a little more in 1998. But I was just so frustrated with Alba for refusing to see what was right in front of her from the beginning, and for it taking her so long to get to the bottom of things and to finally defeat Arturo. So yeah, for all those reasons, I can't give it more than a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree, because I also gave this a 3-star read, and I think it's a solid 3-star. Like 3-star isn't bad. 3 stars is solid.
Yeah.
And I know at one point I was on the record saying that this could potentially be a 6-star read for me. Obviously that didn't pan out.
Missed the mark.
Yeah. I greatly enjoyed reading, like the two of you said, I greatly enjoyed reading this book. The majority of it, especially the beginning, where it's very atmospheric. It sets those spooky vibes. There's something to be said and the ability an author can have on you feeling scared with just written word, not even visual. Like, it's not visual. There's no movie. Like, I think that is so, like, that takes a lot of talent to do. And so I want to praise the author for that, because I think it was really well done. Just the tone that she created. But I'm just thinking that this was just extremely predictable. And I think for the author, it was probably an exercise in her ability to be able to write timelines and to see if maybe that she could do it. And she can do it. And she can do it well. I just wish there had been more done with them. It was a timeline for timeline's sake rather than what it was actually meant for, or what it could have been for the plot of the story.
Yeah.
And so that's where my 3 stars come in, is because I just keep on thinking about like how much more interesting it could have been had we just tweaked a couple of things. And
Right.
I don't know, like I just, you try writing a book and see how easy it is. Like that's what I feel like
I
people are,
know, yeah.
wagging their finger at. But I don't know, like it's just, you want something when you read something like this. And for me, it just didn't deliver.
Yeah.
At least at the end. The rest of the book I loved, but right here at the end, I was like, wah, wah,
Well,
okay.
and I think
Yeah.
what's disappointing is that we literally had last week had just discussed section 3, and it was such a great section
Yeah.
with a lot of really great imagery and a lot happening, and like leaving a lot of things like there waiting to be answered, and it just didn't get answered in the way that I think we were all hoping. So I think that's what falls flat too. It's like it was such an exciting peak. Like we got to the climax part of the story and we were just like, oh yes, like let's see what's going on. And then boom, like this is the ending.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it could be Arturo. Like, we'll keep it over here. Sure, it could be Carolyn. We'll keep it over here. It really is them. And I'm finding this out in the last chapter.
Again, that didn't disappoint me, but other things
No, it
disappointed
did
me. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So that wraps up our final discussion on The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. But it doesn't end there. Please, please, please interact with us on social media. We are Books Between Friends Pod on all platforms. We want to hear how you felt about it. Like, what are your reviews of this book? Did you like the ending? Were you not as disappointed? Or were you feeling the same things that we did?
Yeah.
Let us know on
We wanna
social media.
know.
We want to hear from you. Yeah,
Yes.
please, please.
Yeah, I want to know because I went back on Goodreads and I was reading some of the 1-star reviews and some of the 5-star reviews, and it's really crazy just how they differ. So I want to see
Okay.
what
It
you guys
is.
thought of this book.
Yeah, I did the same
It's always
thing. I
interesting
was
to
like,
hear from other readers.
let me swipe. Let me see what other people are saying. All right. And that is a wrap on The Bewitching. We've had witches, curses, missing people, and way too many goosebumps. Next up, we are switching gears just ever so slightly and going completely cozy. So maybe it can heal our bookish hearts a little after having read The Bewitching, and we can
Please.
recover from some of the spookiness. So we are going into The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is one of my absolute favorites, and I'm so excited to get to share it with all of you and Jen and Steph. I am so excited. Part 1 of The House in the Cerulean Sea drops next week, and we're covering chapters 1 through 5, where we meet Linus, Arthur, and a group of magical misfits that might just steal your heart, and they will, so be prepared. Cozy up, grab a cup of tea, or, let's be real, coffee, or whatever you want to drink, because we'll probably join in.
Mhm.
And come join us for a story that's basically a warm hug in book form.
Much
wait.
needed.
Yeah.